Before we begin, take a second and think about this. What if the single habit most capable of transforming your body, improving your brain, stabilizing your mood, and even extending your lifespan required no gym membership, no extreme diet, and absolutely no athletic talent? Just walking. Now here's the surprising part. The human body was never designed to sit for 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day, yet modern life has quietly trained us to do exactly that. And your biology is paying the price. Slower metabolism, weaker heart function, poor circulation, brain fog, restless sleep. But something fascinating happens when you begin walking 10,000 steps every single day. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but daily, for 30 straight days. Your body doesn't just get a little healthier. It starts reorganizing itself. Almost like flipping a series of hidden biological switches. Within the first few days, your muscles begin demanding more oxygen, your blood vessels respond by becoming more flexible, and your brain starts releasing chemicals strongly linked to motivation and emotional stability. But here's what most people don't realize. The biggest changes are not the ones you see in the mirror. They happen silently, inside your heart, your brain, even your cells. And one of these changes, the one most beginners completely ignore, can dramatically lower your risk of chronic disease. We'll get to that shortly, because the timeline of transformation is far more fascinating than people think. So instead of guessing, let's walk through this together, day by day, system by system, starting with what begins happening in your body just 24 hours after you take those first 10,000 steps. And trust me, it's not what most people expect. Let's start with something important. Your body loves movement, but it also loves efficiency. So when you suddenly jump from a low-activity lifestyle to 10,000 steps a day, your system reacts almost immediately. Not dramatically, not painfully, but biologically, very seriously. Within the first 24 hours, your muscles begin using more glucose, the sugar floating in your bloodstream. This is powerful because every step you take acts like a tiny vacuum, pulling excess sugar out of your blood and into your muscle cells where it can be used for energy. The result? Your blood sugar begins stabilizing, and stable blood sugar means fewer energy crashes, fewer sudden hunger spikes, and a brain that feels noticeably clearer. But something even more fascinating is happening beneath the surface. As your heart beats slightly faster during those walks, blood flow increases throughout your body. Your arteries respond by releasing a molecule called nitric oxide. Think of it as a natural signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. Wider vessels mean smoother circulation. Smoother circulation means your heart doesn't have to work as hard. It's one of the earliest ways walking quietly supports cardiovascular health. Now here's the part many beginners misinterpret. By day 2 or 3, you might feel unexpected soreness. Your calves tighten, your hips feel stiff, maybe even the bottoms of your feet ache. Most people assume this is a bad sign. It isn't. It's evidence that dormant muscle fibers, ones that haven't been consistently activated, are waking back up. Your body is adapting. But the real surprise? Around the same time, your brain begins shifting its chemistry. Movement stimulates the release of endorphins, natural compounds strongly associated with emotional balance. At the same time, levels of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, can begin to decline. Many people report something subtle but powerful. They feel lighter. Not necessarily physically yet, but mentally. Less tense, more focused, slightly more optimistic. And this creates momentum, the psychological fuel that makes you want to continue. However, what happens next is where most people realize walking is far more than just light exercise. Because after the first week, your metabolism starts changing in ways you cannot fake and cannot rush. And one of those changes begins influencing how your body stores fat. Let's step into that next. By the time you reach the middle of your first week, something remarkable begins to happen. Your body stops treating those 10,000 steps as a threat and starts recognizing them as your new normal. This is where adaptation turns into transformation. At first, your body relied heavily on stored sugar for fuel. It's the quickest energy source available. But sugar storage is limited, and your biology is incredibly strategic. So around day 4, your system begins shifting gears. Instead of burning mostly glucose, your body slowly increases its ability to access stored fat for energy. Not dramatically overnight, this isn't a movie montage. But metabolically, the switch is real. Enzymes responsible for fat breakdown become more active, and your cells begin improving their sensitivity to insulin, the hormone that controls how efficiently nutrients enter your cells. Better insulin sensitivity means your body is less likely to store excess calories as fat. This is one of the quiet advantages of consistent walking. No extremes, no punishment, just biological efficiency. Now here's something most people never expect. Around this same time, many walkers notice their appetite starts regulating itself, not disappearing, but stabilizing, because movement influences two powerful hunger hormones, ghrelin, which tells you when it's time to eat, leptin, which signals when you've had enough. When these hormones communicate properly, cravings often lose their intensity. You stop feeling controlled by sudden urges to snack. Your body prefers rhythm. But the transformation isn't just metabolic. Your posture may begin to change too. When you walk consistently, muscles supporting your spine, especially your glutes, core, and lower back, activate more frequently. Over time, this helps counteract the forward slumping position many people develop from prolonged sitting. You stand a little taller. Your stride becomes more natural. Even your breathing can deepen, allowing more oxygen to circulate through your system. And then there's a change people rarely connect to walking, yet it might be one of the most important. By the end of the first week, sleep often improves, not because walking exhausts you, but because it helps regulate your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells your body when to feel alert and when to power down. Falling asleep may feel easier. Staying asleep may feel more natural. And quality sleep amplifies every other repair process happening inside you. But don't get too comfortable just yet, because the second week is where many people experience their first visible sign that something is truly changing. And it's not just about weight. There's a deeper shift happening inside your heart, and even your brain that scientists find incredibly compelling. Let's move into that. By the second week, the question quietly changes from, is this doing anything, to, wait, am I actually changing? This is when many people notice their first physical signal. Your body becomes more efficient at circulation. Each step trains your heart to pump blood with slightly less effort, a sign that cardiovascular strength is improving. You may also feel something subtle but powerful. Walking feels easier. You recover faster. You don't get winded as quickly. That's not motivation. That's adaptation. Now, here's what surprises most people. Some begin to notice their waistline tightening, even if the scale barely moves. Why? Because consistent walking encourages your body to use stored energy more intelligently, while helping reduce visceral fat, the deeper fat linked to long-term health risks. But the biggest shift during this phase isn't physical, it's neurological. Rhythmic movement increases blood flow to the brain and supports chemicals associated with focus and emotional stability. Many people describe it simply, I feel more like myself again. Less mental fog, less emotional heaviness, more steady energy. And once your brain starts associating walking with feeling better, resistance fades. The habit starts building itself. But what happens in the third week is where this stops being just a habit and starts becoming part of your identity. Because your body is about to enter one of the most rewarding phases of adaptation. By the third week, something powerful happens. You stop forcing the walk and start expecting it. This is where discipline quietly transforms into automatic behavior, a process your brain loves because it conserves energy. Neural pathways strengthen, making the habit feel more natural and far less negotiable. But the real upgrade is happening inside your heart. With consistent movement, your resting heart rate often begins to drop slightly. This means your heart is pumping more efficiently, doing the same job with less strain. It's one of the clearest signs of improving fitness. Energy throughout the day tends to level out too. No dramatic afternoon crashes, no constant urge for caffeine, just steadier momentum. And here's a benefit people rarely expect: your stress resilience improves. Walking helps regulate the nervous system, nudging your body away from constant fight or flight mode and toward a calmer, more balanced state. You react less, you recover faster, you think clearer. But don't assume the biggest rewards have already arrived, because the final stretch, approaching day 30, is where many of the deepest health protections begin stacking up. The kind that don't just help you feel better now, but quietly support your future self. By day 30, the transformation is no longer subtle. Your body has learned something important. Movement is not an event. It is your new baseline. Your heart pumps more efficiently. Your muscles use oxygen better. Your metabolism responds faster. But the greatest benefit: risk reduction. Consistent walking is strongly associated with lower chances of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and chronic inflammation, the silent conditions that often build unnoticed over the years. And remember, this didn't require extreme workouts, no exhaustion, no punishment, just steps, repeated daily. Now, here is the realization most people have at this point. The hardest part was never the walking, it was starting. Because once the habit locked in, your biology did what it was designed to do: adapt and protect you. So if there's one takeaway from this 30-day journey, it's this: you don't need a dramatic overhaul to change your health trajectory. Sometimes the smallest repeated action creates the biggest biological shift. So the next time you wonder whether a simple walk is enough, remember this: your future health is often decided by what you do consistently, not occasionally. And 10,000 steps a day, it's more than movement. It's an investment in the version of you that's still years away.